Hello, 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 collective. This is Siggy Star, and welcome to Psychological Warfare Explained. It's been a while, but not really. Happy Mercury on retrograde number one. That ended Monday, yesterday, April the 7th. And if you know, then you know. You know how Mercury retrograde be. So I've already started feeling the effects of communication and plans going direct. So I'm pretty grateful for that. Um, if you don't know what that is, it is basically Mercury is the planet of Gemini, communicator. So when it goes retrograde, usually several times within a year, a 365-day calendar year, um, things can get misconstrued, whether it be emails or any type of communication. And yeah, it's not fun. So I'm here today. I've been wanting to get this video out for a while. So before I go further, be sure that you like, share, and subscribe here. You can check my links in my bio. I have another fire page, Positive Continent News, and then I have links to my DJ links and my daughter's page as well. So you want to check that out if you're interested, of course. But here we talk about all things psychological, spiritual, and warfare. I combine my religion, so I'm Christian. I attend church, but I incorporate my whole soul team, which comprises of my ancestors that support me, other ascended masters. In this case, it would be the Prophet Muhammad. I have heavy Islamic roots too, angels and archangels, as well as God. God is a spirit. To me, God cannot be defined for me. I don't gender God. I do not call God a he or a she, because everything God has made has a masculine and feminine component to make it, a creation. So I don't dishonor God, you can say, by gendering God. God is God. So I just say God. I don't say he, she, they, them, nothing. God is God and nothing's greater. And of course, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, right? Who is another ascended master and said to be the savior of the human race, Christians, etc. Hence Christians. So I just want to explain to people also my indigenous roots as well. So hence I'm incorporating things in nature, the planets, the moon cycles. That's how I operate here. So I'm just letting that be known for people that be like, hey, I can do whatever I want. This is my channel. And I don't let my spirituality or religion be defined, because I have realized when I incorporate my whole soul team is what works best for me, because there's ancestors doing, want to help me out. There's other ascended masters that want to help me out, etc. The illusion of poverty. Here we are. I feel like I kind of went off on a tangent. What is poverty? Poverty is associated with being poor. Poverty is associated with material items, the lack thereof. But there's different types of poverty. You can be impoverished in the spirit, impoverished in health, impoverished in your mentality, various things. And people usually associate poverty with material things, because we here on earth are more material. We think about the physical rather than the spiritual in most sense, things that can be unseen. Insert Oxford Dictionary definition of poverty. So there's different types of, material wealth is what we all know, luxury. We all know this, so I don't really have to go into detail. But there is different types of wealth that is not discussed, which is wealth in health, wealth in spirit, wealth in love, wealth in community, intangible things that really honestly mean the most, things that you can take with you to when you ascend, when you leave this planet, when you leave this earth, versus material wealth, which get left here. We all know this. The person will be gone and all their jewelry and furs will be here at an estate sale, right? Or maybe included into a will. So due to unconscious programming, a lot of us are manifesting poverty. And a lot of it is poverty, material poverty, or poverty related to material things, but we can also manifest it in the other forms that I talked about. So if you grow up and all you see is, let's say you grow up in the projects, or you grow up in a one-room shack, or in a very poor village, in your mind, that might be the best that you can attain in life. Everyone you know is living the same way. And even if nobody's telling you this, you might feel that way, like, hey, I can never do better than this. In your mind, this is all you see. You don't know anyone in your neighborhood or in your area that's attaining material wealth, but also maybe wealth and spirit, wealth and health. Also, another spin to this is you might be so focused on attaining material wealth, but you might have wealth in community. You might have wealth in health. You might have wealth in spirit, right? But you feel like you are impoverished because you're only focused on material wealth, which is a Western construct mostly. And wealth is dictated differently depending on like where you are, your community, where you're from. But I do notice that the world tends to focus on the Western concept of material wealth, and there's less and less focus on the other intangible forms of wealth, which people that are living in the indigenous communities, this is, or from an indigenous background, if we're tapped in, this is what we know that really matters. So this unconscious programming, like I mentioned before, could be what you're seeing. It can be through your community, your neighbors, your family. Media has a huge influence on this, and social media. You're seeing people buying luxury vehicles, living in luxurious homes, vacationing in luxurious villas, wearing luxurious clothing, and you're thinking that that's all to life. What I have come to notice is many of these people who have these items are very poor in spirits and mind and health at times, etc. Just to give an example. But social media is really running this right now when it comes to making people feel that they are poor or they just don't have enough. In capitalistic societies, mainly in the West, we are constantly bombarded with advertisements of buying more, getting more of everything: clothes, cars, traveling more to the more luxurious vacation spots, getting the bigger home, etc. It's a constant battle with us because we're always seeking and wanting more. And even those who don't live in these Western societies are striving to get to them, to get a taste of this material wealth, because they could be living in a community where everyone is on the same accord. They're a community. That is wealth in itself. There's a lot of wealth in familiar structure, different types of things like activities, spiritual practices, but they feel like they're poor. They feel like they are in poverty because they are not attaining what is said to be the gold standard of the Western ideal of material wealth. Everything that you die and leave here, aka. So the unconscious programming is, like I said, through social media, the music and entertainment industries, ads. Social media is pushing, well, even before it existed, it's pushing what we call celebrity to also help push the envelope of what, being wealthy is. A lot of them have endorsements from certain companies which help the working class or fuel them to want to buy products, services, etc., right? Which is the dives further into the next topic of ads. You'll see ads with these popular figures on them, as well as just in your algorithm on different social media outlets online, to make you want to buy, and if you can't afford it, to make you feel like you're in poverty. There's also poverty associated programs. So here, specifically in the United States, there's programs such as Women, Infant, and Children, the Supplemental Nutrition Program, Medicaid, Section 8, housing vouchers. You'll see ads sometimes in certain neighborhoods that are considered lower income. advertising for people to, if they need these programs, which is nothing wrong with needing them, but then also there's like certain people that they will have associated with these programs on these ads. And honestly, if you income qualify, whatever your background is, you can qualify for these programs, but they are associated specifically with people of color, different things like that. Mainly people of color to start it off. Maybe the elderly, disabled, things like that. Everyone who would benefit from who is supposed to benefit from affirmative action. We're still on. We're still in this Mercury retrograde energy, hence the hiccups. Another thing is, I don't want to call AIDS. Well, immunodeficiency syndrome, HIV, LGBTQ can also be associated with being in poverty, but anyone falling within these thresholds, anyone can have HIV, anyone can have AIDS, anyone can have can be LGBTQ. So it's not necessary. It can be associated with poverty, but honestly, anyone of any socioeconomic status can fall into these thresholds. The thing is that more materially wealthy people would be able to afford the best of care with the two aforementioned diseases. And anyone, there's a lot of wealthy LGBTQ people out there. So they might associate, like PrEP, like the advertisement for PrEP. I usually see people of color when anyone can use that medication that needs it or wants to use it, right? So just to give an example. But yeah, these subconscious programming through these images that we're being fed, whether it be through digital media, social media, physical media on the side of a bus stop, in a metro station, on the side of a bus, wherever you are, on a billboard. These all tie into subconscious programming of what poverty is materialistically, and it only focuses on poverty on a materialistic level when we should be focusing also on poverty of the spirit, poverty of community, poverty of the mind, poverty of the body, etc., right? But we're always focused, because of the Western dominance globally, on material poverty and gaining material wealth, the chase of it. But it programs you to think certain people are materialistically impoverished and will never be able to gain material wealth, and that certain other people will always have material wealth and it's only for them. So you have to deconstruct the subconscious thinking leading to this is a first way of getting rid of an impoverished mind, hence getting out of poverty, you can say, material especially, but in other ways. So reprogramming your thinking, you have to build your self-esteem and self-worth that does not revolve around what you have materially. So a lot of this involves mental health therapy, cognitive, reprogramming your cognitive thinking about your person. An example would be, no matter what your condition is, maybe always making sure you look presentable, you look clean, you look decent, not feeling bad about yourself or comparing yourself to others, because you never know what other people are doing to get certain things, right? You can't put your feet in other people's shoes or make assumptions, because they might be wearing those shoes and they might have their toes cut off, metaphorically. And that's how they're able to fit in those shoes. So building your self-worth and your self-esteem, and it shouldn't be dependent on what you physically own, but wealthy in your spirit, being happy within yourself. Yeah, spreading the wealth and love within yourself. You can add a spiritual component, doing the spiritual work to love yourself as well. It is not easy. There's a lot of programs, there's a lot of mental health out there, building your relationship with yourself. So being limitless and believing in the impossible is another thing, which takes a lot of recognitive programming, especially when you're used to seeing certain images or being around certain people, and you just assume that that's it for life. You have to take your mind out of your physical location and start traveling mentally. Let's say if you think that you'll never go anywhere outside your neighborhood, you might want to start watching, since we have social media, watching YouTube and looking at videos of people traveling to other locations that you might be interested in or you just want to see. Maybe getting some travel magazines, maybe going to the library, checking out some books about these locations, which will help you expand your mind, and you can start traveling to these locations mentally. And then once you have it in your mind, hey, I can go to this place one day, then you can start manifesting traveling physically. While you're manifesting, then you're like, hey, if you're working or you get a little income, or somebody gives you some money, you can say, hey, maybe it's time for me to apply for a passport. I know that's what I did. I applied for my passport like a couple of years before I actually started traveling, and I just knew I was going to be traveling the world. And right now, I'm not even traveling, but I know I'm going to be again. So it's always good and then when people maybe want to take you somewhere internationally, you're ready to go. So that can be a first step. Once you start manifesting and opening up your mind, get that passport, that's opening up more possibilities. You have to be limitless in what you can do. Don't put a cap on what you can do, whether it be through your age, your socioeconomic status, your health, etc. You got to get those mental chains off of you and don't be limited, because the plot or the idea is to keep your mind limited. Once your mind is limited, you're not going to be able to achieve anything. So it's all mental. Go after your dreams, live life to the fullest. Whatever your dreams may be, don't feel like you can't do it because nobody in my family's done it, nobody in my neighborhoods. You cannot limit yourself. So it's important that you keep your mind clear and keep your vision focused, but don't live in a limited scope. And like I said, it's mostly mental, but when you start recognizing the trick of advertising and keeping you kind of like hostage in your thinking, then you start to break free of that and realizing that it is a plot or a ploy to keep you thinking a certain way about yourself, especially if you live a certain reality or you look a certain way. And then you start dreaming, and your dreams start to become a reality. But know that what your eyes are physically seeing, there's tricks being played on it to keep your mind limited. So you have to realize that a lot of it is being delusional in a sense. My stuff is going to work out. I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to, like, you literally have to, especially when you have a certain reality and nothing you see physically is matching what you want, or you don't believe it, you literally have to live in delusion until it becomes a reality. There is some steps that you have to take on the earthly realm. Like, you can't just sit at home and daydream, but that is a big part of it. But then you have to be grounded to do certain steps, like, hey, you want to travel, you don't know when, you don't have the money, start putting your little change together to save for a passport. Then the next step, like I keep referring back to this passport. You want to go to school, you don't know how to. Okay, how about you start looking up schools? Okay, do they have scholarships? Okay, if they don't, what scholarships are available in your area? What can you apply? What can you do? Can you make better grades to be qualified to apply for these scholarships? So it's half and half. Manifestation is the feminine part of it. Doing the groundwork is the masculine part of it, pursuing it on the earthly realm. Manifestation, spiritual, feminine, groundwork, masculine, earthly realm. We're all still working on this, but I wanted to give people the tools because I'm still working on my situation as well. But I do think this will be helpful to a lot of people because it's a trap and we literally have to live in delusion. So, to an extent, to get what we want. For many of the people who don't have a silver spoon in their mouth materially. And I also want to say that, remind people, there's a lot of different types of wealth and poverty. Sans material. Poverty of mind, poverty of spirit, poverty of body, poverty of community, etc. Wealth of mind, wealth of body, wealth of spirit, wealth of community, wealth of creativity, etc. Things that you will take with you when you are no longer physically here versus the things that you leave here when you do leave physically. So I hope this video makes sense. these are my ideas. I will, of course, any related materials or anything that could help with this video, I will include. But this is all for now. Signing off. This is Sicky Star. And once again, this is Psychological Warfare Explained. I hope to see you all in the comments very soon. Be blessed, family.